introduction.
Hi, my name is Henry Rausch. I wrote 2 books. The first book I wrote is Submerged: Life on a Fast-Attack Submarine in the Last Day of the Cold War. And it is a personal memoir of my service as a submarine officer in the last decade of the Cold War. It was approved by the DoD for release, and it's got a lot of interesting things to say, not just about driving submarines, but also about personal growth, and it's selling really well. I'd like to talk, actually, in this video about my second book. This one is a novel. This is called How to Hotwire an Airplane. Now, How to Hotwire an Airplane is about flying, but it's also about personal growth and redemption, actually. It's about a Vietnam vet who has severe PTSD who finds redemption by rescuing people in the desert in southwest Texas. Now, the title, I've gotten some comments, pushed back a little bit. Hey, isn't hotwiring an airplane dangerous, and isn't it illegal, and how can you do that? Well, I title it that way. It's kind of I titled that way just to get people intrigued to want to read the book. I'll show you what I mean by hotwiring the airplane. It's a standard procedure that uses what all pilots know about how planes operate. So here, we'll take a look at my engine and my plane here. And the first thing I want to point out, this engine is fairly simple. It's got 4 air-cooled cylinders, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Each cylinder, and this is important, has 2 spark plugs. 1 spark plug on the top right here, and there's another one on the bottom, and similarly for all 4. So that's 8 plugs. 4 plugs are fired by 1 magneto. This is on the left side of the plane. It's a left-hand magneto, and then 4 are fired by the right-hand magneto. So basically, if you lose the magneto, you're still firing 4 plugs, and each cylinder, it's alternated so that 1 magneto fires like 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, and vice versa. But basically, if you lose, it's a very simple, rugged system where if you lose a magneto, you still fire the plane, and it still operates correctly. So here's what I'd like to show you. This is how to hotwire an airplane, so forth. Magneto work, it's like I said, it's very simple, very rugged. It's just driven straight by the engine. As long as the engine is driving, it's making electricity. It's got 4, if you can see here, there's 4 wires that come out of the back of the magneto, and those go to the 4 spark plugs. And what's this? It's a 5th little wire connected to magneto, not as big, it's just a little white wire. What that wire is called a P-lead. It's connected to the primary winding of the magneto, and that's a very important lead. That grounds out the magneto. If the magneto is grounded out, even though it's turning, it will not generate electricity, and the engine will not run. It will not fire those plugs. That's important. That's, normally we want both magnetos firing when we're operating the engine, but periodically we want to check. We want to ground 1 magneto at a time and make sure that each magneto is doing what they should be doing. And so that's why, quote unquote, how to hotwire an airplane is basically as simple as, if you cut that grounding wire on the magneto, it will no longer be grounded by the ignition switch. And then if you cut both of them and you turn the prop accidentally, you will start the engine. That's a very unsafe condition, and that's why we take great procedures to make sure that grounding is working correctly. So here, we're going to take a look at the ignition switch to show you what I mean by that. Let's get the camera in so we can see the ignition switch. Okay, so you're looking at the ignition switch, and you can see there in the far left, that's the off position. In the off position, those white wires that I showed you are going back to the ignition switch, and those are grounded. So if you don't have the key in that ignition switch, those mags are grounded. Then you see left and right, and then you see both in start. Well, start's pretty easy. Start engages the engine and starts the engine. Left and right we use, and that's why I said it's very careful. We do checks. When we first start the engine, we ground the left mag and make sure it runs, and then ground the right mag and make sure it runs. And that does a couple things. One, it makes sure there's a certain spec that they need to be in within RPMs. That's beyond the scope of this. But the other thing it does is check that ground and make sure that ground's working. Like I said, If those mags get ungrouted, those pea leaves come off for some reason, that's a very dangerous condition because you could accidentally turn the prop and they call you lefty the rest of your short life. So that's really it. So how to hotwire an airplane, it's not about stealing a plane, although that's a plot point in the book. It's more about just understanding your basic ignition system. And you can see it's a very rugged, reliable system that we take extremely seriously. So with that, I'd like to leave you. I'd like to, again, put a plug in. Submerged is my first book. It's a memoir, and it's selling very well. Sorry. And then the subject of this talk was how to hotwire an airplane. And like I said, it's about flying. There's a lot of neat flying tips in there too. If you're into aviation, you'll enjoy it. But it's also a story of redemption about a man who kind of regains his soul because in service to others. So thank you for your time, and I hope you read my books. They're both available on Amazon. And thank you very much. I enjoy doing this. Bye-bye.